Mark 5, 1 through 20. They came to the other side of the sea, to the country of the Gerasenes. And when Jesus had stepped out of the boat, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit. He lived among the tombs, and no one could bind him any more, not even with a chain, for he had often been bound with shackles and chains. But he wrenched the chains apart, and he broke the shackles in pieces. No one had the strength to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and on the mountains, he was always crying out and cutting himself with stones. And when he saw Jesus from afar, he ran and fell down before him. And crying out with a loud voice, he said, "What have you to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I adjure you, by God, do not torment me." For he was saying to him, "Come out of the man, you unclean spirit." And Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" He replied, "My name is Legion, for we are many." And he begged him earnestly not to send them out of the country. Now a great herd of pigs was feeding there on the hillside. And they begged him, saying, "Send us to the pigs, let us enter them." So he gave them permission. And the unclean spirits came out and entered the pigs. And the herd, numbering about 2,000, rushed down the steep bank into the sea and drowned in the sea. The herdsmen fled and told it in the city and in the country. And people came to see what it was that had happened. And they came to Jesus and saw the demon-possessed man, the one who had had the legion, sitting there, clothed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. And those who had seen it described to them what had happened to the demon-possessed man and to the pigs. And they began to beg Jesus to depart from their region. As he was getting into the boat, the man who had been possessed with demons begged him that he might be with him. And he did not permit him, but said to him, "Go home to your friends, and tell them how much the Lord has done for you, and how he has had mercy on you." And he went away and began to proclaim in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him, and everyone marveled. Hi again. My name is Amanda Levitt, and I am the director of Next Generation Ministry at Venice Presbyterian Church. And I am just so excited to be here this morning sharing with you from Mark 5, 1 through 20. Every time I've read this story since I was a little kid, I just thought this story was crazy. Kind of mind-blowing. Especially the part where Jesus casts out the demons into the pigs, and then the pigs get so overwhelmed by the evil spirits that they stampede off of a cliff and then all drown. It's just crazy to imagine. So I want to start out today talking about the man in the story, the man that's possessed. And when you picture this man, I want you to picture him like a zombie that you've seen in a zombie movie, like covered with bruises, covered with scratches, kind of out of their mind, unaware of their mind. This man, because of the power of the demons within him, had the strength to break shackles, to break iron shackles that were holding him and trying to contain him, that the townspeople had attached to him to try to keep him kind of in control. He was able to break those. What the problem is, though, is that like human skin is not meant to break iron. And so this man had to be covered in bruises all over his wrists and all over his legs. He had to be in a lot of physical pain. And he was suffering mentally, emotionally, and physically. And he was alone and isolated. The place where he was dwelling, it says, is the place of the tombs. So it was where all the dead bodies were. It wasn't where people came often. He was alone and isolated and suffering. And so I want you to imagine Jesus steps off of a boat, and this man sees Jesus from afar, and he runs at him. And so if I were Jesus and a man that looked like that man ran at me, I would hop back in the boat and paddle as fast as I could away from that man. But Jesus stands his ground, and it seems that Jesus immediately recognizes that there's something spiritual going on here in this man's life. And we can tell that the man is the one that ran to Jesus. Somehow he knew that Jesus would help him. Demons did not run to Jesus. So the man, in whatever mind he had, runs to Jesus for help and falls at his feet. But then the demons kind of speak and they say, like, please don't torment me. And so Jesus starts to have this dialogue with these demons. Or at this point, we only know that it's one demon. But then Jesus asks, what's your name? And the man doesn't speak his name. The demon is speaking with the man's voice. And the demon pronounces that his name is in fact Legion. And a legion at this point in history was a military term for an army of thousands. And so it's possible that this poor man was possessed with thousands of demon spirits. That's wild. So the demons began to plead with Jesus. They didn't want to be sent to the abyss, it seems. They asked Jesus for a compromise, that Jesus would instead send them into these pigs. And so Jesus acquiesces. Jesus agrees to send these demons, this legion of demons, into these pigs. And something very unexpected happens for these demons. Instead of them getting to remain in the pigs, the presence of their evilness, their wildness in the animal spirit makes the pigs stampede, thousands of pigs, over a cliff and into water, and they all drown. And so the people who are keeping these pigs, I imagine, are not that excited because, as you might know, pigs make bacon. Pigs feed people. But for Jewish people at this point in history, they weren't supposed to be eating pigs. Pigs were unclean. And so pigs weren't food for Jewish people. So we can tell that either these people weren't Israelites or they were Israelites that were being disobedient to God and raising pigs. So these people are kind of stunned and terrified, the people that watch this happen. And they run into the town and they run into the country and they go and they tell people what just happened. This man got off a boat. He had a conversation with the crazy guy. And then all of our pigs ran off a cliff, right? That's what happened. So people come and they want to see what happened. So people kind of start coming and seeing what happens. And when they arrive back, the man that Jesus cast the demon out of is sitting at Jesus' feet. He's in his complete right mind. He's clothed and totally normal. And so all the people in the surrounding communities, I'm sure, have known about this crazy man that kind of haunts the tombs. And now they're seeing him and he's in his right mind. And they're terrified. They're scared. And they want Jesus to leave. And this is kind of sad, right? Because Jesus just healed this man who had been suffering, I imagine, for a very long time. A man who had thousands of demons possessing his soul. So it's sad that these people, instead of being enthralled by Jesus, are terrified of Jesus. And maybe they're terrified because they know of evil in their own life and they want him to go away. Or maybe they're just terrified because of the loss of these pigs. They might be scared. What else are we going to lose if this guy sticks around? Jesus. So there's those people in the story that are terrified of Jesus. And then there's the man who Jesus freed of the demon. And the man begs Jesus to take him with him. He wants to stay close to Jesus. I imagine, it doesn't say in the scripture, but I imagine he's really afraid of what's going to happen next in his life after spending all that time possessed by demons. I'm sure he's afraid that they might come back. And if he stays with Jesus, they won't. And so Jesus gives him kind of some reassurance and says, like, no, I want you to stay here. I want you to go to your friends and your family, and I want you to tell them about what I've done. I want you to tell them about me. Tell them about how I've saved you. And so this morning, I'm going to offer you a really simple challenge. Who are you in the story? Are you this man and you've met Jesus and you're kind of clinging to Jesus? You want to stay close to Jesus? Or are you the townspeople who are terrified of Jesus and you want him to go away? Sometimes in our life, we feel like we're walking close to God, but really we're scared of him and we don't want to let him in because we're afraid of what he might take from us. There are things in our life that we hold more dear than God, which was true of the townspeople in the story, it seems like. So are you someone who is keeping God at a distance because you're afraid of what he might take from you if you let him close? So I want to challenge you today, if you're living in that place, I want you to pray and talk to God and draw close to God. God has good things for you. God does amazing things for people, like healing this man and bringing him back into his right mind and freeing him of those demons. And so surely, whatever you're holding on to, if it's something you're afraid that God might take from you, God will help you through that process. If he can help this man who is possessed, he can help you. So then there's the second character in the story, which is this man who is possessed, and he's clinging to Jesus and saying, like, I want to stay close to you. Excuse me. I often can find myself too just wrapped up in Jesus and all of his wonderfulness, and kind of unwilling to share my story and his story with the people in my life. I want my faith to be quiet. I want to live at peace, which is good. God wants that from us, but I sometimes do that too much. And so, are you someone who knows Jesus and loves Jesus and is kind of just enjoying Jesus, but you're not really sharing him with the people in your life? Jesus wants you to tell about his greatness. So I want to challenge you, if you're that person, to share who Jesus is with someone today. Talk to someone about what Jesus is doing in your life. Talk about how you're enjoying him. Talk about the ways that he's healing you. There's so much we can take from this story. Like I said at the beginning, I just think this story is fascinating. I could say so much, but those are the two things I'm going to say today. If you are hiding something from God or distancing yourself from God because you're afraid of what he might take from you, I want you to draw close to him and talk to him. And if you're enjoying God and you're loving God, but you're being really quiet about God and all that he's doing in your life, I want you to open your mouth and share what God's doing in your life with someone. All right. I hope you have a wonderful day today. I can't wait to see what God continues to do through our study of Mark.